Hello and welcome to the second episode of Bible FIFA on FIFA 23. Here's a reminder of the team. I had to buy a replacement John Stones and Reece James because for some reason EA decided to get rid of all of the World Cup versions of those cards. So I think it's a bit stingy, but anyway, had to buy replacements. Here's what we came up against. A pretty sweaty team, to be honest. Icons, solid players all the way through. And after that fantastic David Button save, from the resulting corner, his Lucio Starman, after a bit of scrappiness, smashed it into the top corner. To be fair, Lucio, strong Christian himself, very much links the series. But I tried to come back with a 1-2 between Cunha and Crouch. I threw that bicycle kick clip in there for good measure. Couldn't quite pull off the goal on that attempt, but I tried it again, and second time lucky off the 1-2. Mateus Cunha dinks the ball over the keeper to make it 1-1 with another Peter Crouch link up. I then played in Cunha off the back of John Barnes' through ball, did my classic Berber spin inside, finessed it, but unfortunately off the crossbar. But I kept going, kept plugging away, and I played the ball with a beautiful outside of the boot ball to Crouch across to Barnes, and Barnes bang into the top bins across the keeper. It reminded me a little bit of Trent's ball across to Robbo, who then played it to Salah a few weeks ago, if any of you remember that game at Villa. But anyways, into the second half, we're 2-1 up, and I put this clip in because Peter Crouch, the 6'7" man, proves that he has the skills to pay the bills, weaving in and out, but couldn't quite find the net as the keeper makes the save at the near post. Still 2-1. I then give away possession and I do the classic mistake, schoolboy error of bringing up the defender, changing player, running out of the defender. He goes through on goal with his Jarzinho, and I tried to bait him with Button, but I thought I baited him, to be honest, because he left the chip quite late, but it still was a good enough chip to go in. And then from this corner, the guy tried to win the game. Button made a fantastic save to put it out for another corner, but from the resulting corner kick, Chouameni smashes in a bicycle kick, which was quite a fitting winner, to be fair. Fair play to the guy. A nice winning goal, which is how the game finished at 3-2 to him. But because we scored 2 goals, it does still give us a couple of options for the Bible passage. John Barnes and Mateus Cunha gives us the options, and we'll head into the Bible passage now.
Okay, so into the Bible passage, and we had a couple of options what we could look at. We're going to go with the goal that I scored in the 18th minute with Mateus Cunha and read from Matthew chapter 18. And in this passage, Jesus' disciples come to him and they ask him, they say, "Teacher, who is going to be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" And Jesus turns around and he says to them, "Truly I say to you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven." And humility here is what Jesus is really trying to get at to the disciples. The disciples are thinking, hey, God, you chose us to be your disciples. We're clearly going to be up there in terms of who's going to be the greatest in heaven. And Jesus is like, look, guys, we're not going to do this thing of kind of hierarchy and who's going to be the best, who's going to be, the least. He wants humility, and he wants them to remember, guys, all of you guys have done things wrong. All of you have messed up. There's no particular reason why I chose you over other people to be my disciples. It's by grace that, anyone is saved because of basically, Jesus going on to die for them. Just remember humility. It's something, as if you're a Christian listening to this video, I think humility is a huge thing that God would want you to try and kind of maintain throughout your life. It can be very easy, I think, if you've been a Christian for many years, to start thinking I've got things together, I'm becoming more and more like Jesus, I'm becoming a better Christian. But actually the crux of Christianity is, remembering that it's all about grace. It's all about Jesus' love for you and how he's died for you and saved you and redeemed you. And actually, it's all about what he's done for you. I think he wants you to remember that kind of innocent, childlike sort of feeling when you first gave your life to Jesus and became a Christian, and had that just completely humble, just overwhelming gratitude for how Jesus gave his life for you. And I think Jesus wants that for us as Christians to maintain throughout your whole life, to be every day to be wow, God, you died the most horrific death to save me. You sent your only son Jesus, God, to die for me on a wooden cross in the most horrific way, out of pure love. Why should I get carried away with thinking this or that, or wanting to sort of be higher up in heaven in particular positions. Like, I'm just grateful that I'm going to be in heaven one day because of you, and I don't need to start thinking about sort of pride and where I sit and all these sorts of things. If you're not a Christian listening to this video, then I think humility is actually one of the biggest barriers to Christianity, particularly in today's culture and today's society. Christianity is very much frowned upon. It's one of the go-to jokes out of all the religions that the comedians will pick on. It's always the Christians that often get taken the mick out of. And, you would know very well that, if you became a Christian, the chances are you're going to have a few people look at you a bit differently. A few people sort of think, what's that all about? Why are you following this kind of load of rubbish? Christianity's got a pretty bad rep, unfortunately, to a lot of people. And I want to kind of encourage you, if you're not a Christian listening to this video, to think about it for a sec, to think, right, if God is real, if Jesus did indeed die for me and rise from the dead to forgive me from my sins, would it be worth following him and facing a bit of stick from some of my colleagues, some of my family, for the sake of this life-changing thing that God's done for me to save me from my sins, so that one day I know I can be in heaven forever with God, knowing that he's with me in day-to-day life? Like, surely if it's real, it's worth the cost of following Jesus. And that would be my encouragement to you, to not completely sack Christianity out the window because you think, like, I wouldn't want to follow that rubbish. Like, I want to crack on with my life, I want to enjoy doing what I want to do. Forget about Christianity. Like, pause for a second and think, well, if it's real, I need to take this seriously. And there's a verse in the Bible in Mark chapter 8, I think it is. Let me find it, verse 36. And this is what it says. It says, for what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and yet forfeit his soul? And the real challenge of this passage is to say, look, you can bun off Christianity and you can live your life doing whatever you want to do, forgetting about God, forgetting about Christianity. But is it really going to be worth it if in this life, this temporary life, we're all going to die at some point, sacking any possibility of God out the window to enjoy, live for the moment, enjoy life, for then one day when it comes to the end of your life, to be like, oh, hang on a sec, what happens now? Like, if God is real and he loves you, which I really want to encourage you, is something you can find out to be absolute fact historically and experientially. Please at least give some time to investigate it and discover for yourself. Pray a cheeky prayer. God, please help me to find out if you're real, because I want to know you if this is really true. Because if you find out he's real, which I really pray you do, like I have, then it is worth the cost, and it is worth the stick and any sacrifice you have to make for God. So that'd be my encouragement. I'll be back again when I'm able to for the next Bible FIFA video. But for now, have a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope that something that I've said today can encourage you in some way to think a bit more deeply about this really important stuff.